They were thrown off the base like vagrants, and 48 hours later, those same men saved American lives. Picture this: November 1966, deep inside the Vietnamese. Jungle A U.S. firebase is being scrubbed clean for a VIP visit from the Pentagon boots. Are being polished uniforms, pressed weapons aligned perfectly for inspection. Everything must look right. Everything must look controlled. Then, a helicopter drops out of the sky, the rotors barely slow before 4 Allied soldiers step onto the landing zone, and they look like something dragged out of a nightmare. Their uniforms are torn and stiff with dried mud. Their faces are hollow, streaked with grime and camouflage paint. They smell of sweat rot and death, men who have lived too long in the yacht. Jungle and brought it back with them. Ask yourself, would you trust men who look like that? General didn't. With a glance of pure disgust, he made a snap decision. He ordered them off the base, told them they were an embarrassment, a disgrace to a uniform, not fit to be seen by Pentagon brass. It was a decision that nearly cost him everything, because while boots were being shined inside, the wire, a massive enemy force, was gathering in the darkness beyond it, a force preparing an assault, designed to smash the firebase while its guard was down, and the only thing standing between survival and annihilation were 4 rejected men already moving back into the shadows, playing a deadly game the Americans didn't even know existed. Gain the Viet Cong whispered about in Fear Ma rang ghosts. This is what really happened that night, as the Huey lifted off from General Cranston's immaculate landing zone, making hard to clear. The perimeter protocol said the story should have ended. The 4 men should have returned to their own base, filed a report, let the Americans deal with their own problems. Doctrine demanded it. Common sense demanded it, but Sergeant Thompson didn't believe in maps drawn from air-conditioned offices. Leaned forward in his canvas seat and tapped the pilot on the shoulder. Then he pointed downward at a specific patch of jungle 3 kilometers northeast of the base. The pilot, an Australian warrant officer, Mackenzie, frowned. That wasn't the route home. It wasn't even close. That grid square was marked green on U.S. maps. Pacified, cleared, safe enough for supply convoys without escort. Safe enough for officers to sleep at night, believing the jungle beyond the wire was empty. But Thompson wasn't looking at a map. He was looking at reality from the open door of the helicopter, with the wind screaming past his face. He had seen something during the climb that made every instinct he possessed start screaming. Not soldiers, not weapons lines straight, lines, geometric patterns carved through vegetation shapes. Nature never creates on its own field telephone wire, military-grade communication cable, the kind used to link observation posts to artillery batteries, the kind that turns scattered troops into a single coordinated killing machine, barely visible, perfectly concealed. But Thompson's eye was trained to spot what didn't belong. Then came the smell, as the Huey dipped slightly around a ridgeline. The scent hit him faint at first, then unmistakable cooking fires, not 1 or 2 dozens, rice boiling in massive pots beneath the triple canopy jungle where aerial reconnaissance couldn't see. And beneath that sharp and unmistakable, the fermented salty tongue of Nuoc Mam fish sauce knot. The light scent of a village meal, the industrial smell of an army feeding hundreds. There were no villages in that grid square. Intelligence said so. Intelligence was wrong. What Thompson smelled wasn't a village. It was a regiment, 2,000 men. Maybe more. Dug and wired together. Comfortable, confident staging for an assault less than 3 kilometers from the firebase. And the general had no idea Thompson ran the math in his head. Mortar, pre-registered recoilless rifles positioned command posts, linked by wire, a coordinated opening barrage that would overwhelm the firebase before anyone understood what was happening. It was catastrophic and technically not his problem. He had been humiliated, thrown out like garbage. Every rational instinct said to fly away and let arrogance reap its reward. But then he looked at his team, Davies 22 first deployment, Jenkins radio operator, Calm as stone, Morris weapons man, deadly and silent. They were waiting. Thompson tapped the scar on his leg. They understood. Put us down, he said. The insertion was flawless. Mackenzie never landed. He hovered inches above the ground, while rotor wash flattened the elephant grass. The four men rolled out, hit the ground, running weapons up. 30 seconds later, the helicopter was gone, and the jungle swallowed them whole. They didn't walk. They flowed, moving with the jungle's rhythm. When birds called, they moved. When the wind stirred leaves, they advanced. When the jungle went still, they froze. 47 minutes later, Thompson raised his fist. Wire exactly where it shouldn't be. North Vietnamese Army signal cable, factory-made, professional. This wasn't guerrillas. This was war. And as darkness fell, the Australians moved deeper into territory the enemy believed was secure. The psychological war had begun. The first observation post never heard them coming. 2 sentries vanished in seconds. No shots, no alarms, just empty spider holes and a dead telephone line. By morning, an entire assault would collapse without explanation. And years later, in a private diary, a U.S. general would write a single line he never meant for anyone to read. I insulted the ghost that saved my life.